The Green Ops podcast is brought to you by F3 Tactical, Spotter Up, Sons of Liberty Gunworks, and Blue Force Gear. 2022, we've kind of set goals for ourselves, and you know what? It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of discipline to get to the goals that you do want to achieve.
What does that mean to you? What does that phrase mean to you? Because I hear it being kicked around a lot.
So, I think, and that's exactly what I was getting ready to go into. I think it means testing yourself and finding out where you stand. And that could be amongst anything, right? We just talked about cooking, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe seeing, like, I don't even know a hard recipe. I'm not a good cook, whatever. But saying, hey, can I actually do this hard recipe, right?
I got one for you.
Fighting, sure. Guns, sure. Survival.
Yeah, that's a given. I think there's a ocean of people who've already done all this stuff with fighting and shooting. We get it. Yeah, being uncomfortable going into the dojo, going to the gym, going to the MMA gym, and getting into, brawling around with this complete stranger. That's uncomfortable, right? But let's take it back to cooking. I mean, people would say, how is cooking related to this topic? Okay, you try putting on a party for your friends. You're the cook, and you're going to feed your friends. And ultimately, they're going to taste what you cook. And if you mess it up, then that's on you.
And maybe that's why we like cooking over an open flame.
Yeah.
Like over a fire. And because it's not something we do. It's not something you can go and just like turn the dial to 5 or medium. And it just stays at that one heat. Like, it takes work. It takes effort.
Yeah.
Starting
a fire takes effort.
I started the fire with flint too.
That's awesome. Most people, and I had to learn this myself because I'm a city boy. I grew up in New York City. The first time I tried to start a fire, I could not start a fire because I had this notion that, you just light a match and you put the match next to the wood and there it goes. No, sir, that's not how you do it.
Right.
There's a method. It's like you're creating something, you got to take care of it. Right, you don't just set it and forget it, because if you do that, you're not going to get a fire, and if you're lucky enough to get a fire, the fire's going to go out if you don't take care of it. Right.
Right.
So, I know we're getting a little weird out of topic, but I think when I was building a fire, I had to do it in front of my wizard friends, and I couldn't do it, and that started to get a little uncomfortable for me. And I thought, man,
sure,
I'm not a man because I can't make a fire. I mean, isn't that one of the deep rooted essence within our DNA? It's like, if you're a dude, you probably should know how to make a fire out in the wild, and I did not. And I think that happened a couple of years ago, and that was very uncomfortable for me.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we talk about. We're a shooting company. Green Ops is a shooting company. So let's go back to that. So it is now.
Oh shit.
So we always talk about competition.
Mm-hmm.
And the level of uncomfort that is there in that first competition for you is pretty high.
Yeah.
And
I remember my first one, I was scared to death.
Yeah, I mean, and it's very easy to not show up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I will admit, driving to this range out in the middle of Georgia somewhere, because I was stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia, I started to think, dude, just turn around, just go home, man. You don't need to do this. Like, I literally had those thoughts.
Right.
I mean, think saying this now, it seems so silly, right? Be honest, that seems silly. Especially, we've shot together, and I did have those thoughts in my first competition. I was like, just go. Just
it does, but I had the same stuff.
Yeah.
Same things going through my head. Heck, I've gone to training courses years ago, where after day one I thought about quitting because it was hard.
Yeah. And
I was not that good. And so perseverance, I think, needs to be talked about in this conversation too, right? You gotta persevere through what sucks. Well, let's go into fighting. Let's go into jiu-jitsu. I've not done enough jiu-jitsu I've done enough jiu-jitsu to know I don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
And like the first, let's say, 3 times you go enroll, it's fun. This is really cool. I'm hanging out. I'm with the guys. And then after that, it is not that fun. because you're literally just getting beat up, and you're the new person at that point. So,
and they pair you up with the smallest girl who's probably a blue belt,
and she can kick your butt.
Yeah,
and it's humbling, but it takes a lot of perseverance to come back.
It does.
And it's very uncomfortable. You are in an uncomfortable situation, whether it's, somebody's trying to put some sort of move on you, or, they're doing like a choke or some sort of arm bar, but it's not.
And it may not even be that.
It's not even hurting you, right?
Yeah.
But it's uncomfortable, and all you want to do is just like quit.
Yeah.
I remember the first couple of times I went to, we rolled, and during the last half or last quarter of the class, we actually just did we just rolled for 10 or 15 minutes, and we would try to get each other to tap, and we were all around the same belt level.
But were you with your friends? Were you with people that you knew?
The very first time, yes, I showed up with a buddy of mine.
Try doing that with complete strangers.
Yes, I mean the second time, and then from then on, I was always paired up. My training partner was somebody I had no idea who they were.
Was that kind of weird?
It started off that way, but I think it was for the better. I think I got better that way.
Yeah.
But, there was plenty of times where we've been rolling for what felt like an hour. It might have been a minute and a half, and I'm out of breath and thinking, maybe, I could just give up and tap. I could just give him my neck right now, or just whatever, and I could just tap, and I could take a breather. And that's an easy way out. But complete episode available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app. New Green Ops podcast episodes available every Thursday. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the new content.